What's happening, YouTube? It's your boy Kite Cosmic here, but you could call me Kite. It's easier. As you may have noticed, we're going to discuss whether or not Yuji deserves his current fate. Off the rip, I can tell a lot of you are like, Kite, there's no way he deserves that. Like, there's nothing you could say to convince me he may deserve the fate he has. This is like the cruelest fate that someone like Yuji could ever be resigned to. But hear me out, guys. You can make arguments for both sides on whether he deserves it or he doesn't deserve it. Just hear me out. You're gonna have to listen to me and just be like, all right, I hear you, or nah, you're tripping. But that's just the reality of it. Before we get to that though, like the video, show some support. I will be dropping a video every Tuesday from now on, but I will drop videos in the meantime, in the middle, about different things. But if you want to see more JJK, you know, Tuesdays, man, subscribe if you want to see another video like this. Okay, so let's discuss what Yuji's fate actually is. There are minor spoilers with this, but this is nothing you couldn't come to the conclusion of by understanding and comprehending the original Jujutsu Kaisen series. So the spoilers are Yuji is immortal. All right. A lot of people thought that, let's just clear this up. I'll be the one to clear it up. Yuji is not a death painting. He's not a cursed womb. He never was. A death painting were experiments by Kenjaku that merged human and cursed spirit. So they're half cursed spirit and half human. Yuji is not that. Yuji was born a human to two human parents. One of them just happened to be Kenjaku. And yeah, but Kenjaku is a human. He just has a strange curse technique that lets him jump from body to body. But Yuji is a human. I do think he might have been merged with one of Sukuna's fingers, which is a cursed object. It's not a cursed spirit. So either way, he wouldn't be a death painting if that was true. Don't quote me on that part though. So Yuji was not born immortal. He only became immortal after he absorbed the other death paintings, which happened in between the, after the Culling Games and before the Shinjuku Showdown. So that's when Yuji changed the biological makeup of his body. He wasn't always immortal. He was just a regular human that had unnatural strength. He did gain immortality, and it's not something, I don't know if he thought about this beforehand. Let me know if you think Yuji considered and weighed the consequences. Reading the new sequel of Jujutsu Kaisen, he's kind of acting like he didn't think about or weigh the consequences of what he was doing to gain so much power. And keep that in mind, because I'm going to talk about that later. When you would try to gain power, things happen. It just is realistic. Like in real life and in all of anime, it is displayed that way. But I'll get to that. Okay, so now you know. Yuji's fate is 60 years after they defeated Sukuna. Everyone is passing away and everyone's growing old. Yuji can't take it no more. He can't take going to funerals. He can't take seeing his friends pass away. He can't take them just aging and he himself not aging, and he remains young. He can't handle that. Makes sense for Yuji's character, but does he deserve that fate? You got to understand what people do. Everything you do has a consequence. The argument for no, he doesn't deserve this, I'm going to get into that right now. So, the reason Yuji would not deserve this cruel fate is because everything Yuji did was to save not only his friends, but humanity itself. He didn't care just about protecting his friends. That was like an Eren Yeager thing where Eren would smoke anyone as long as it meant protecting his friends, the people he held close, friends, family, all that stuff. Yuji's not like that. He wants to save his friends. He wants to save his family. He wants to save innocent people, just humans in general. He wants to stop them from being burdened by the plight that is curses. So he's going to go and get rid of the curses. That's Yuji's nature. You could say that in the pursuit of that, he devoted everything, every ounce of his body. He sacrificed everything to achieve that and ultimately accomplished it. And so why would someone that did everything in the pursuit to help humanity be burdened with the worst curse possible, which is to live a long life while everyone he cares about passes away? That is cruel. I don't think he deserves that. When you look at it from that aspect, there's no way Yuji would deserve a fate like this. But that's about as far as I can go for the fact that Yuji doesn't deserve this. And let me just be clear when I list it out. Yuji does not deserve this fate because everything he did was good and just. He never really did anything wrong. He was willing to sacrifice himself and his life, just everything in general, in order to protect people. And Yuji's just a good person. He just follows rules and does what he's supposed to do. You would think that Yuji wouldn't do that. And he succeeded. He ended up being the one that defeated Sukuna. So those are big reasons on why Yuji doesn't deserve this fate. Now let's move on to why he might actually deserve this fate. There's a lot of reasons here. So, number one, I just talked about it. Trying to acquire power. Jujutsu Kaisen takes heavily from Hunter x Hunter. It takes from a lot of series, and I think it does it well. No, I'm not saying it's copying, but it does take inspiration and it does do it well. I gotta give props to Jujutsu Kaisen and the author Gege for that. It takes a lot of inspiration for Hunter x Hunter, particularly in the power system. Okay, in Hunter x Hunter with Nin and Aura, if you want to attain a great power, you're going to have to sacrifice something. And it's not a brief sacrifice where you sacrifice it and you could potentially get it back. No, you're going to sacrifice it and you're not going to get it back. It is going to be gone. You're going to pay for everything. And this is not just in Hunter x Hunter, but in every anime. Someone that seeks to acquire power and is willing to sacrifice things to acquire power beyond their means. This is very important. Beyond what they would naturally be able to accomplish in that span of time or even in their lifetime, you will pay for that dearly. And that is what is happening to Yuji. Yuji, in order to defeat Sukuna, he went and acquired power that he should not have had, that he would have not been able to attain. He absorbed the death paintings. He absorbed 6 other entities that are essentially immortal, so that's why he is immortal. Choso was 150 years old, I think, during the original JJK series, so clearly a death painting is going to live longer. I don't know if they're completely immortal, but, you know, if they just have cursed spirit, they at least have semi-immortality or like long lives, so maybe they'll live 500 something years, something like that. So yeah, he absorbed the death paintings. Also, he was eating all of Sukuna's fingers. Now, that wasn't to acquire power. It was to, you know, enslave Sukuna and cage him up and like put all his power in one spot and then get rid of him all at once. But he was inadvertently acquiring power by doing that. He was becoming stronger and it was altering his body, was engraving techniques onto his body. So like things and changes were happening by doing that. And this is even reinforced by Yuta saying, during that little brief period between when Gojo got out and then they actually have the fight between Gojo and Sukuna, he says they cheated. So like they were doing all types of things. They were body swapping. Yuji was absorbing other entities, cursed spirits. He was doing a lot of things. And so you can't hope to do things like that and then just act like there's not going to be any consequences or repercussions. I don't think Yuji was thinking, like, nothing's gonna happen to me if I do that. I hope nothing happened. Like, no, he was just like, I know this is probably not right, but it's necessary in order to defeat Sukuna, in order to save humanity, in order to save Fushiguro, in order to save just everyone that needed to be saved. So he was doing it with good intentions, but nonetheless, he was doing this. Power beyond his measure was acquired. You're going to pay for that, okay? That's reason number one. There's really no disagreement in that. That happens in every single series. Some series like to phone it in. I don't want to say the series I'm talking about because everyone gets mad at me, but if you know, you know. There's one series where you can just acquire power and no big deal. It's a big series. But moving on, the next point for why Yuji may deserve this is how he's currently behaving in the sequel series. Yuji has essentially abandoned the Jujutsu Society, okay? Effective just immediately. He just is nowhere to be found. And they're in a crisis, to put it mildly right now. They're faced with an alien invasion of 50,000 powered aliens that they know nothing about. And the aliens are on a base level just stronger than them. I think that we can agree to that. Maybe. At least the ones that have acquired power and have touched those like special rocks that awaken their ability or something like that. They all have powers, all right? And not all humans have powers. So And I doubt there's 50,000 sorcerers in Japan. So either way, they're outnumbered. They're faced with a crisis. Luckily, the aliens are not this like barbaric species. They want to negotiate. But during those negotiations, it's very hard for someone like Usami to, have a fair just breakdown, fair negotiations, because they have Deborah. Deborah doesn't really do anything, but his very presence gives the Simurians, the aliens, the upper hand. If Yuji were to just sit in the meeting with them, he doesn't have to say anything, he doesn't have to do anything, just be there like Deborah, sit there and be a beacon of strength, the aliens would not be able to strong arm them and get the upper hand in all the negotiations. Yuji is abandoning that duty. It's not even a hard duty. Just show up and protect humanity. Let Usami and Mino and all the other, politicians, so to speak, handle all that. But he's not doing that. Not only that, now they're going to duel. Yuka has to duel. And she, as far as we know, is severely, it's like she couldn't even beat the teenagers from the original series. Like she couldn't beat Yuta, she couldn't beat Maki, she couldn't beat Yuji, she wouldn't be able to beat Megami, nor Toshikamo, Mekamaru. She wouldn't be able to beat any of them. And now she's about to fight someone who is considered to be on the level of a special grade and like the Sukuna type level. Whether or not he is, we're not focused on that. But we just know he's absurdly strong. Calamity level. And she has to face him. If Yuji was in the Jujutsu Society helping everyone, trying to cultivate the youth, which is what Gojo did, it would just be so much better. Because maybe some would have learned reverse curse technique. And if they could have just healed up Cross on the spot, or in those 2 months, this wouldn't be an issue. They wouldn't have to fight to like get what they want. They wouldn't have to fight and duel. They'd just be like, oh, my fault, misunderstanding, heal them up. And they'd be like, whoa, like, how do you do that? And like, oh, it's easy, not easy, but I can teach you how, and the people that have talent will be able to do it. And like, they'd have something to teach the aliens, and it'd make them be on better terms. There are so many ways and avenues you could go if Yuji's presence was just there, if he was just there, but he's not there. And I said this, he's sort of taken the Sukuna route, the isolation, and people don't agree with this, but it is what it is, bro. He has isolated himself because of the things he's going through, because the curse he is burdened with. That is also what Sukuna did if you read the end of Jujutsu Kaisen. Sukuna wasn't evil for no reason. He was actually angry about how people treated him. And he felt like he had to do what he had to do to like not necessarily get revenge, but show them and do all that stuff. He had to spit out the curses writhing in his entrails. Like he said that. He didn't like the way people viewed him. And that ultimately led to the behavior of Sukuna, being isolated, being Yujo, just what Sukuna was. Yuji has his own curse and how people view him in his own situation that he believes in, how he's perceived, and he's taking the same route as Sukuna. Whether you like it or not, it's exactly what he's doing. I know he's not doing the Gojo route, because even though Gojo was the strongest of his era, he didn't take the Kashimo route and he didn't take the Sukuna route. Even though he was in their same shoes, he was decided, let me cultivate the youth, bring them up, and try to bring them to my level and surpass me so I can have peers. So everything's not on me. So I'm not really the strongest. I have comparable people. But that's also due to the fact that he once experienced companionship and having a peer in Geto. But Yuji had that. He had that even more than Gojo had. He had people that were stronger than him. So it doesn't make sense on why Yuji is doing this. People get old. People are going to pass away. You're burdened with being immortal. You did that because you wanted to defeat Sukuna. You felt responsible. Take on that responsibility. You still have to be in Jujutsu Society. You signed up for that the day you became and agreed to be a sorcerer. You don't get to apply for the job, show up, or get the job and be like, I'm not showing up. No, you have to show up until you're dead, until you decide I'm not doing this anymore and everything is good. You have to show up. I mean, I guess you don't, but you would think Yuji would show up. I called it pouting. I made a TikTok. If you want to follow my TikTok, it's Kite Cosmic as well, where I said Yuji was pouting, and they're like, we're calling it pouting because all his friends are passing away. No, he knew they were going to pass away. Like, this is something he should have been prepared for decades. he knew that before he even absorbed the death paintings. He probably didn't know he was going to be immortal, but once he realized after like 5 or 10 years that he's not aging, come to terms with that. Your friends are going to pass away. Like, even regular humans can deal with it better than Yuji's dealing with it. So I just don't get it. I get it, but I don't to this degree. You got to take on the burden, man. If you're not able to take on the burden, you should have never did it in the first place. So I think Yuji's fate is fitting because he's abandoned Jujutsu society. It's getting people hurt and killed. Usami's paying for it. I don't know if Yuka did some sort of special training or whatever, but she cannot defeat Deborah. So if they were to fight, she would pass away. Realistically, I'm sure it might not go that way. But like, he's just kind of leaving everyone to get screwed over. Not everyone, but humanity. Because the Simurians are not this like noble and righteous race. You have people like Osaki, whatever, that like blonde Simurian that's crying all the time for the Kalyans. They're corrupt just as much as humans are. So if you let them get a foothold by them strong-arming you and overpowering you, they're going to take advantage of that. You give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. They're going to want more territory. They're going to want to force their values on people. This is a metaphor for like almost Christianity or religion in general. Like, it's a big metaphor, like satire for religion. It's these beings, even Deburrow's like, here we go again with the Kalyans. It's always the Kalyans and this religion that is causing the problems. So these people are going to enforce their religion. They're already doing that, and that's why we are where we are. Because they believe, even though these things are not Kalyans, they believe they are, and so they're going to enforce their beliefs and have people executed for it, murdered for it, killed, whatever you want to say. This is a huge cycle for how religion is basically nonsensical. Like, it doesn't make sense in terms of, they said it, religion is supposed to be religion is supposed to be rooted in everyday life, not this grand cultural experience thing. It's not supposed to be that, and that's what they're making it, and it's not that. And so people are getting sick of it, and it's causing problems. We just need Yuji there, man. If he's there, things would be different. I know you agree. So I'm leaning more towards the fact that Yuji may, in fact, deserve his fate for the way he is acting. Things happen. People are going to pass away. It's your job to teach them. You took on that burden. People passed it on to you. Sukuna, when you beat the strongest, you become the strongest. You don't end the cycle. You just become a piece in it. He became the Sukuna. He became the Gojo. He had to know that was going to happen. It's just like Yuji is not thinking about these things, and then he's getting upset. You can't do that. If you're going to be that beacon, and he's not immature, the dude's almost 100 years old at this point. He should have a bit of maturity to him and understand the situation. Gojo had that maturity, and he wasn't even 30 years old. Come on, bro. I think he's going at it wrong. It's just my opinion. Let me know your thoughts. I'm very interested. What do you think about the whole religion with the Kalyans and how it's kind of like a jab at religion or Christianity? People that are going to, if you don't agree with their worldview, they're going to hurt you, or you can't even have a logical conversation with them because they believe in what they believe in. What do you think about that stuff? Do you think Yuji deserves it or not? Let me know. And like I said, guys, like and subscribe to the video if you like it. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace. 君の気持ちを大事にしなかった私の頭